All right, 43 and 44. So 43 says write an equation of a line that passes through the given point and is parallel to the given line. What do we know about two lines that are parallel? Same slope. So what's the slope of my line here? Negative 2. So if my slope is the same, it would also be negative 2. So I have the slope and a point, so I can use point-slope form for my new equation. So I have y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So x minus negative 3 turns into what? X plus 3. So make sure you know your point-slope form. Let's look at 44. Here it says that they are perpendicular. What do we know about slopes that are perpendicular?
You have to do the negative sign.
The opposite reciprocal. So opposite reciprocal. Opposite means if one of them is positive, we would make it negative. Or if it's negative, we make it positive. And reciprocal means that we flip it. So what's my slope for the line that's given? Negative 2/3. What is the opposite reciprocal of negative 2/3? 3/2. So I'm going to plug in my point and my slope into point-slope form. So y minus y1, which would be 2, is equal to 3/2 x minus x1. What happens when I have minus negative 4? Turns into plus 4. So make sure you turn it into a plus 4. Is the slope of this line positive, negative, or is there no correlation?
Negative.
Negative. Awesome. It goes down from left to right, so it'd be negative. What about 46?
No correlation.
No correlation. So 47 says the table shows the ages and prices of used cars from an online site. Write an equation that models price as a function of the age. So the age is our x's, the price is our y. So if I need an equation of a line, I need a point and the slope. So I could use any point, or I could use any 2 points to find the slope. What's my slope formula? Perfect. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I can pick any 2 points. I'm just going to pick the first two. This will be my x1 and y1, and then my x2 and y2. So I have 22.7 minus 23.6 over 3 minus 2. What is 22.7 minus 23.6? What do we think? Well, let's subtract it. I have 22.7 minus 23.6. So one way you could always double check your work and see if you add, like if I added 0.9 to this, that would give me 23.6. So it would be negative 0.9 over what's 3 minus 2? 1. So my slope would be negative 0.9. So once I find my slope, this is my m, I can use a point, and that's just going to be my x1 and y1. So I have y minus y1, so 23.6 is equal to m, so negative 0.9 times x minus 2. That would be my equation. All right, so 48 starts with the questions that we've done recently. So our arithmetic sequence. What am I adding or subtracting to get from one term to the next? Subtracting 7 over 9. Perfect. We can clearly see that in this one because we're going from 7 over 9 to 0, and then 0 to negative 7 over 9. It's a little bit challenging to see it in this one, but it may help just to make it an improper fraction and then see. So to subtract another 7 over 9, what's negative 7 over 9 minus 7 over 9? It'd be negative 14 over 9, which, yeah, would be negative 1 and 1/5. So you could leave it as a mixed, an improper fraction, or a mixed number would be negative 1 and 5/9, like that. So these are the same thing. You could write it either way. Same. To find the next one, I would subtract another 7 over 9. So this would be negative 21 over 9. Or we would write it as, how many times does 9 go into 21? 2. With how many left over? So 3/9. Can I simplify 3/9? Perfect. So 2 and 1/3. Negative 2 and 1/3 when she comes back. And then again, I would subtract another 7 over 9, so that would be negative 28 over 9. How many times does 9 go into 28? 3, so negative 3. And how many left over? 1/9. Perfect. So this would be our mixed numbers. Up top would be our improper fractions. If this was a free response question, you could leave it either way. But if it's multiple choice, you may see it this way or you may see it this way. So it just might be one of the other. 49, you don't have to do. You can skip this one because we didn't write the equation. For 50, we just have to graph the function. You don't have to describe the domain or range. So to graph 50 or 51, we're going to treat this as if it's in slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b. And we're going to do one equation at a time. So looking at the first one. What's my slope here? 1. And what's my b? Negative 2. So what's the first point I'm going to put on my graph?
-2.
Put a point at negative 2. And then how do I do the slope of 1?
Up 1 to the right 1.
Up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1. Once we have a few points, we can connect them with our line. But I always have to check my restriction. X is less than 0. So I would put a brick wall down 0. Less than, am I talking values to the left or the right?
Left.
To the left. So I would erase everything to the right. Now, is this an open circle or closed circle? Open circle. Perfect, because it's just less than, which tells us it's an open circle. Now let's graph the second piece. What's my slope for the second half? 2 over 1, or just 2. And what's my b? 0. I don't have a b here, so my b would be 0. So where do I start? At the origin. I start at 0. And how do I show the slope of 2? Up 2 and to the right 1. And I can go up 2 and to the right 1. So this would be my line. But I have to check my restriction. I'm only talking about x values that are greater than 0. So is greater to the right of 0 or to the left of 0? To the right. So that means I erase everything to the left. And at 0, is it an open circle or closed circle? Closed, because it is greater than or equal to. So that makes it a closed circle. 51 is super similar, but I do want to graph the middle piece. So I'm not going to graph the whole thing just so we can get through the review, but I want to graph the middle one here. What do I know if I just have a number? What type of line is it going to be?
It's going to be constant.
A constant line, which is just a horizontal line. So where would I put that horizontal line at? 3. My B here is 3. So I'd put a point at 3. Yeah. So I'd put a line that goes through 3. But I only care about when x is in between -2 and 1. So I can erase everything that's not in between -2 and 1. At -2, am I going to have an open circle or closed circle? Open. And at 1, am I going to have an open circle or closed circle? Open. Because they're both just less than. So be careful. If it's just a constant number, then it is a straight line, a horizontal line. All right, 52. We're solving our system of equations. So how could I solve this? So this is what we did in chapter 5. Dan. So I have y is equal to x plus 9. So I can take that and substitute it into the other y. So this is x plus 9 is equal to -x plus 29. Awesome. Then we want to combine our like terms to solve for x. So the x's will cancel. I'm going to move all my x's to one side and move all my numbers to the other. So I have 2x is equal to 20. Perfect. And we divide by 2. Since x is being multiplied to 2, we do the opposite. So x is equal to 10.
You gotta do the same. You gotta plug it in the bottom equation for y.
Awesome. I need x and y. I only have x, so I would take that and plug it into the x to solve for y. So I have y is equal to 10 plus 9. So y would be equal to 19. Now we always write our answer as a coordinate point that goes x, then y. So it would be 10, comma 19. So it's always your x first, then your y. So let's look at 54. What could I do to solve here? I have y equals, so I would take what y is equal to and plug it into the y. So I have x minus -1 is equal to -2. What does that minus -1 turn into? A plus 1. So that's x plus 1 is equal to -2. Now what can I do next? Put the 1 on the other side. I got to get that x all by itself. So I subtract 1. So I have x is equal to -3. Do I have to plug it in, or do I already know what y is? We already know y. So my answer is -3, comma, -1. So it already gave me y. I don't have to plug it in to find it. Typically, we would have to plug it in and solve for y, but it already has y equals, so we're done. All right, 55 is a little bit more challenging because we don't have a y equals right off the bat, or an x equals. Can I make one of my equations x equals or y equals? I can do that if I subtract 2x from both sides, but then I have a -y, so then I would just have to divide everything by negative, which that works. I would probably rather pick the second equation and just add 10x to the other side, since it's already a positive y there. But I can subtract 2x. I'll do this first. So we have -y is equal to -3 minus 2x. Again, we want the y all by itself, so how do I get rid of that negative in front of the y? Divide everything by -1. If we divide the y by -1, you have to make sure you do it in everything for the equation. So y is equal to 3 plus 2x. So now that I have y is equal to 3 plus 2x, I can take it and substitute it into the y in the other equation. So we're still using substitution. We're just taking what y is equal to and plugging it in. So here I have negative 10x plus 3 plus 2x is equal to 35. What can I do next? Combine the like terms. So I'm going to combine the x's together. What's negative 10x plus 2x? Negative 8x. Careful, because these are on the same side, so we just add them together. So negative 10 plus 2 would be negative 8. We're not moving it to the other side, so we just add them. Don't change the signs. Now that 3, I have to move it to the other side to combine with the 35. So how would I do that? Subtract 3. So only when you move it to the other side is when you change the sign. What's 35 minus 3? 32.
And x will equal negative 4.
How do you know? What do I do?
Because we divide by negative 8.
Awesome. Divide both sides by negative 8 to get that to cancel out. So x is equal to negative 4. Now this is just x. How do I find y?
You gotta plug in the x.
Take the x and plug it in. So I'm going to plug it into the first equation. So I have 2 times negative 4 minus y is equal to negative 3. What should I do first to solve? Multiply.
Negative 8 minus 3. And then put the 8 on the other side.
So since it's a negative 8, to move it to the other side, I add 8. So negative y is equal to 5. So what does y equal?
Negative 5.
Negative 5. So how would I write my answer?
Negative 4, negative 5.
Negative 4, comma, negative 5. Perfect. Let's look at 58. So for 58, we don't have to graph. We're just solving. When I have an absolute value, what do I need to do to get rid of those absolute value bars? Perfect. We split it up into 2, so d equals 7 and d equals negative 7. Because I could plug negative 7 into there, and it just turns it into positive 7, which would make sense. So these are my 2 solutions. Anytime you have absolute value bars, to get rid of them, get them all by themselves, and then split it up. So we will have 2 answers. So for 62, to tell whether something's a solution, we just take the number that it gives us and plug it into that variable. So here I have 21 is less than 54 over 3 times 6 plus 17. What would I have to do first after I plugged it in? Multiply. So 21 is less than 54 over 18. What's 54 divided by 18? 4. Are we sure? Let's see. 18 times 3. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times, so it's 54. It's 3. You're close. So 21 is less than 3 plus 17. So 21 is less than 20. Is this true? Is this true? Is 21 less than 20? No. So is negative 6 a solution? No. 63, we would do the same thing. Take negative 12 and plug it in. So we get negative 6 divided by, what is 2 times negative 12? Negative 24 is less than 2. Here I have negative 6 divided by negative 24. What does this simplify to? So 6 goes into 24 4 times, so it'd be 1/4. Perfect. So I have 1/4 is less than 2. Is this true? Yes. So negative 12 is a solution. We would say yes. So for 64, it just says describe the graph. Or does the graph represent a linear or a nonlinear function? Is 64 linear? Yes. What about 65?
No.
No, it's not a straight line, so not linear. For 66, when it says evaluate the function when x is -2, 0, and 1, we just plug those in. So first I want to see what g of -2 is. What happens when I plug in -2 into x? What's my answer? -2. We're not doing anything, so it's just -2. Then I have g of 0, 0, and g of 1, 1. So if there was more math going on, you would have to solve, but we're just plugging it into the x. So here it's just x.